Is it easier for you to forgive or to be forgiven? Keep talking about how women don't know how to take accountability. I honestly didn't understand what you meant. And let me point out, maybe from the last discussion you had about this was on the, what are these guys called from the So This Is Love podcast? Bumpy and
Sophia
and Bumpy. And there was such an upheaval online because no one was able, I don't know if there was any empathy towards Sophie, but then the one thing that you did mention was she also needs to take accountability for the situation she was in.
We're the best thing the world has to offer and the worst. Those vile, distasteful parts of us that most people don't keep in, that's where cancel culture comes from.
Do you need help with your mic?
No, I want to see how. I want to learn the mechanics.
Push it back.
Iko sawa sasa.
Ukiongea na wewe ndivyo utaweza kusikika.
Ati?
No, yeah, anaweza sikia. Even me, I was turning the entire time.
With your head?
Yeah.
You can turn. The thing is, don't turn and not, yeah.
Do you want it closer to on? You might need to adjust your mic.
My cat.
Unajua mimi sana na kuna precious cargo hapo sitaki ku
Safi sana.
Yacha ikae.
Amesema inakaa. No, it's a cat.
You don't need it?
No, it's fine. You can just use it. I know you want to use it for the... na leo ni kweli hata umeingia box yako.
Kisha paka makeup.
So? Yes. All right. Wada, welcome back for another episode of More to Follow. As you can see, we still have the same pretty faces. Yes. I wanted to say that and I was like, be original.
First.
Find something of your own.
Yeah, I was like, wada. Anyways, welcome back, guys. Welcome to episode 5. If you're joining us for the first time, karibu sana. If you're tuning in again, thank you for your lovely support. So I'll go straight into kicking it. I am Owen. Today's host, we have...
Kori.
And...
Kinjeke Tilengwale.
Aha. Ule wa Maji Rebellion. If you know what she was doing.
The Monicas are back, guys.
Yeah. Clearly. He's only out for one episode. So yeah. I hope mko salama. I'm feeling good today. I don't know if it's because I'm the center. Niko kwa pivot. Sijui ama ni time imenimulika. I'm feeling white.
Odegaard.
Yeah.
Pivot.
Pivot. Exactly. Anyways,
do you guys, I just put my elbow here and from an etiquette point of view, whenever you're doing fine dining, you're not supposed to put
your hands on the table.
Do you know why that's the case?
Because of passing things, no? Does it...
Or rather, where it stemmed from?
No, I have no idea.
So, the British, they used to have these tables. You'll just put 2 logs, then you put a plank of wood.
So
if you put your elbow,
you topple
everything, it comes.
Hey, na jamaa amefanya research over Moro last episode, last week.
Yeah, so now that's why they say don't put your elbows.
Okay.
So it was picked.
And then it just was carried for...
And then stuck.
A century.
Because imagine there's like a bowl of minji over there. And you just do like this and then... And the king just... You're beheaded as a consequence,
I can imagine. Because kitu kidogo...
Umse ako na njaa no...
Chop the head off. Anyways, getting into today's episode, this one is a bit of a spicy one for me. So today I wanted us to talk about the cancel culture versus accountability. Tunapenda kucancel watu kusana Kenya.
Hadi hiyo example tumepeana mse kuwa beheaded.
Exactly. So
it's a cancel culture on its own, you know.
Like, we cannot with you. Off with his
Off
head.
with your head.
But so, and being from the country, I think, with the highest, the toughest, the heaviest, the baddest Twitter force on this globe.
Yeah.
You know, with KOT and all of that. I wanted to ask you guys, as we segue into our topic, what is the one idea, move, passion, rather, I don't know, theme that you would want cancelled, you would want abolished? I'll start with Corey.
With the
With
netizens on things online.
No, just anything.
Anything random, like one thing that people do, or a way of things, or a way of life, however you look at it, that people do in a particular way that you don't like, that you'd like to be cancelled.
You know, I usually need time to think. I would, off the top of my head, I would cancel culture.
Oh, wow. What's a snazzy one?
Why?
Because I think we're usually quick to dismiss someone. Case example with, you know, they say bad or good publicity is still good publicity, but at the end of the day, it does have an effect on the other person. If I make a mistake today, I like the fact that it exists because it does require people to take accountability. Either you come out saying, yes, I did it, I'm sorry, or to whatever extent it does, but then this is someone's livelihood. This is someone's life you're messing with. At times we forget that things that are happening online, this is someone's life. It's not a movie. It's not a facade. Just because you're seeing it on your phone does not mean it does not exist for someone else. So when we're quick to cancel, I do think there's more detriment. There's more that comes with that to the individual than maybe to the public eye we would see. And it's unfortunate because you do hold people in the public eye to a higher
standard.
To a higher standard.
Put them on a particular pedestal.
Please remember, at the end of the day, these people go home to sleep on a bed. They're not sleeping in the clouds. They're not above us.
We dehumanize these people. Yeah,
it does.
I get you.
Na watatumia Velvex pia.
Velvex imekufanya nini baba?
Sini tissue.
No, but imekufanya. Why Velvex imekufanya?
See wet wipes.
They were just, Velvex was just chilling.
No, I'm just saying.
It was just chilling where it was.
But I get you,
Yeah.
Yourself? Is that one thing you could cancel?
The hyper-individualism that continues to exist. And I'll reference what happened sometime back with the whole Super Metro thing.
Oh, yes.
You can't tell me that there's 31 people inside a matatu seeing someone being thrown out, and hakuna mse anaweza sema shika 30 bob. Like,
because of 30 shillings.
The guy throwing out is a problem, but those people also around
are part of the problem as
are
well.
also part of the problem.
The funniest thing is, Raphael has mentioned it, and this thing, yesterday I was on Ndudi tukienda football, and that Ndudi guy was so pissed. He almost even didn't ask for his money because he was really pissed to that thing. He was like, first of all, he was like, because people were chatting about the repercussions of making the SACCO liable, and I was like, yeah, it's the oldest thing in the book. You go for the entire organization.
You go for the head.
Yeah, I was saying, leave even just the paying. How does someone get thrown off a bus and you guys are still seated in the same bus? What makes you think you're not next?
You're not gonna be next, exactly.
Like, to me, it's really wild. So yeah, the hyper, I get it. Off the top of my head, I like the fact that today I'm asking the questions, so my answers can suffice. They're always in my case, so my answers can suffice.
Fairs.
But I think, like he said, hyper individualism. I think it's one way. We had something similar. I would cancel the way of life, and I see it particularly right now how people exist within themselves. Like, you're just a speck in this grand scheme of things. It's not always about you. Like, so many other things going on. I'm not saying that you don't take care of yourself, but that happened, I didn't know that was.
You make everything about yourself.
You're just
main character.
Yeah, main character energy. Nah, you're just a character, and the only character
you itaguza wengi.
Yeah. So that's the one thing in cancel. Now that we've spoken about, given that example, I wanted to first ask,
Before you ask,
Yeah.
I've just realized Jesus was probably the first victim of cancel
Yeah,
culture.
cancel culture.
How so?
He was
They were
cancelled.
like, he was cancelled.
Jesus was famous. He fed people. Akapea watu kinywaji kamnywe, so then he was
And
cancelled
then the
because
CIA decided to do
Turn
some
on him.
rumor
the guys didn't like what he was preaching, and he could have.
Yeah.
It's cancelled.
and he was publicly executed. But man, crucifixion, I respect the science of it because,
That time was brutal. Like I'm glad that right now I can be short, but that time was brutal.
yeah,
That time was brutal.
it's
You
it's
just
prolonged
said you're glad
suffering.
you can be short
That,
now.
do you know? Can you imagine?
Crucifixion is
Crucifixion.
wild. And it's the fact that they had done trial and error to know what works and what doesn't.
After
Think
having
about it.
carried your
'Cause
cross for
No,
God knows how
not
long.
even the cross. The one thing that a lot of Christian imagery shows is that he was pierced on his hands. But that's not the case.
Yes.
He was pierced upper.
Yeah, on where it caused a
Because you
lot of
see, if you
bleeding.
do here, then your palms just, it will remain on the cross and then the rest of your hand will fall off. Because your body gets tired.
Yeah.
And you're just going to,
So it doesn't support.
it doesn't support. So crucifixion is upper for the wrist.
Oh.
No, can you imagine? They've done enough
Research.
research to determine, we
This
need
is
to
why.
stop doing, we do
Yeah.
it over here. And more so, they realize, okay, if you're taking too long to die, because usually they'll just leave you outside, then you die. But if you're taking too long and it's like a public execution, they break your legs.
Yeah.
So that you suffocate because you collapse, and then now your lungs. It's like, wow, these guys, they put
I'm
some
telling
thought
you,
into
you
the
ca- you ca-
execution.
you can't
man.
compare
that
that to being
creativity was.
It's like this thing. If you watched the Vikings,
That's not stuff you can find on ChatGPT.
if you watch the Vikings, there's this episode they had where there's this particular practice they call blood eagle, where they skin you and open your ribs from the back.
They skin me and open
Yeah,
my
they
ribs
open
from
your
the back.
from the back. Just go watch the blood eagle from the Vikings and on YouTube. It's one of the most brutal things I've seen. And I was like, yeah, these guys are. Yeah, they mean
These
this.
guys were creative with their ways of canceling people. Yeah. Anyway, ask your question.
So yes.
Good.
So, do you think there's a difference between the canceling and accountability? Because it's cancel culture versus accountability.
You look like you're stressed.
Another thing. I feel like I've also been put on the nini, okay, not the cross, but I've been put on
I see what you did there.
on the line. It's because you pointed it out, I think, from the first time getting to know you guys. You keep talking about how women don't know how to take accountability. I honestly didn't understand what you meant. And let me point out, maybe from the last discussion you had about this was on the, what are these guys called from the So This Is Love podcast? Bumpy and
Sophia
and Bumpy. And there was such an upheaval online because no one was able, I don't know if there was any empathy towards Sophie, but then the one thing that you did mention was she also needs to take accountability for the situation she was in. I was quick to defend Sophie. I'm like, that's such a bad thing to go through. I empathize with you. In fact, Bumpy is actually the one on the wrong. We should cancel him and also crucify him because for all the bad deeds he did. I didn't think there's any accountability Sophia needed to take. But I'm glad she also mentioned it because she got to a point where she did say she needed to take accountability for the things that were happening to her. I don't know if I'm secure enough to also say I'm able to do the same thing with myself.
Bingo.
It's so easy to point fingers and you're on the wrong and you forget the other four that are pointing back at you. And I'm still, if I'm being honest, I'm still pointing fingers.
Okay.
The other three fingers that are pointing, you can also see, now you're already holding a gun to someone's head.
This is so
You're
crazy,
quick to
man.
shoot them down.
Yeah. Fairs.
I don't know. I honestly don't think I know the difference.
Oh wow.
Between accountability and canceling somebody.
Because by calling you out, by saying you're not doing the right thing, am I asking you to take accountability or am I quick to dismiss you? I'm like, no, you can no longer serve the purpose you were serving before. You can no longer maybe be on in a situation such as this, you've seen repercussions go to the extent of either you're fired from your job or you're told you can no longer be on air, you can no longer. What's a good example to give? Even Johnny Depp and the other
Amber Heard.
lady, I don't think she's able to get work for quite a bit of time because no one can actually respect her online, in the movies, or she's able to get work because of all the thing that came after. But you forget this is someone's job. If she loses that, what is she left with? I don't know whether it's my job to consider what happens after. Is it my job to consider what happens after to the people we keep pointing out?
I think it is. And I think that's the difference between cancel culture and holding someone accountable.
Please expound.
If there's a purpose of amendment from the person who's making the mistake, they're worthy of the second chance. We're all worthy of second chances. We're all products of second chances. If there's a repetition, in my opinion, of the aggression, so she makes all these allegations against Johnny Depp, then goes to John Travolta, then goes to Tom Cruise, then goes to all these other people. Clearly, this is someone who is not taking accountability. But even if in the middle of the trial she comes and says, hey, by the way, pole, makosa ilifanyika, like just putting your ego aside and saying, yeah, I accept. You see, now that you're taking accountability. So a cancel culture from that point would be a disservice. Not even a disservice, it would just be unfair to do that. So, and I think the purpose of amendment is the difference between now cancelling someone and holding them accountable. Because we do need to hold people accountable.
Ourselves included, yeah.
Ourselves included, the people in that super metro.
Yeah.
The people in government, the people in the office, your friends, all of that. Yeah, I think that's my. Also, have you watched It Ends With Us?
I have. I loved it.
What did you think about it?
If I'm being honest, the minute I finished watching the movie, I went to ChatGPT and asked them, do you think the issue that's happening between the two actors is a marketing strategy? Because the situation is very similar to what the movie is about.
This is the Blake Lively one?
Yes. The situation with her and the director and the two lead actors in the movie, I'm like, is this coincidental? Is it part of a grander scheme? And then ChatGPT told me, if it is, then they're right on the nail in terms of pushing for the movie.
If it is.
But
do you think it is? Do you think it's a marketing strategy?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And what shocks me is the fact that the guy keeps coming. I've not seen someone. There's an allegation being made. Your retort or your response is to respond with even more slander to this other person. I'm like, I don't know how this was going to play out, because she said this guy had done XYZ, yes. And then his retort was like, no, I'm not the one who did this. So took particular instances and then chose to share that and share his narrative. Because up until this point, unless we were on set, I honestly can't tell who's at fault or who did what. I don't have a whole story. You have snippets of what are situations that had happened, but you don't have context. You don't know what was happening before. You don't know what happened after. For me to say, yes, at this point, she was the one who was telling him his nose is fat. It's part of what we do. I don't know whether he was at fault or she was.
If it does come out that the allegations are false, then
whose? Blake Lively's or
Blake Lively's? Because a counter lawsuit, like you don't do a counter lawsuit unless
you have armor.
There's justification for it. Do we cancel her or do we hold her accountable?
People already saying she's the new Amber Heard. I think his intention, the guy's intention, is to get her cancelled?
In answering that question, I think I can look at it this way. I've never understood this cancel culture kind of thing. Why? Cancel means do away with, right? And I'll get to it.
Like,
and that's why, and that's why
pariah.
I think, I like how we've adapted the term. You said executions and killings also part of cancel culture, and that's why it happens. The media, the social media age, the technologically developed age, really traverses the cancel culture because, one, for two reasons. I have come to understand when people cancel people, it's always in a vacuum. You don't know the entirety of the story. And similarly, human beings are it's not just that one thing that's wrong with you. You understand? You are a summation of so many different facets, so many different actions. So will I be canceling the entire human being for one action? Again, this is not to say that they're not grievous things, like things that we cannot talk about, like, the things like rape and stuff like that, crimes against children and stuff like that, things that are naturally acceptable. I have come to find out in my time, a lot of people, displace their feelings on people, and that's why they want to cancel. That's why they want to cancel people. Sorry, it allows for people to be very judgmental, openly, because people have a lot of shit inside them that they want to put on other people. Because if I'm being honest, if you're used to holding yourself accountable, you never look at canceling someone else. When you're holding someone accountable, you're looking for the purpose of amendment and correction, right? Whether you care about the person or not. I get it. Cancel culture is where they're like, we are done. Whatever is, we are done. We do not want to have the conversation. So there's a huge difference.
We do not want to have a conversation. What's wrong with
Sorry,
you?
nimepata PTSD. Juu ya kitu umesema. Like if you're not used to holding yourself accountable, cancel culture becomes top of mind, top of the head of awareness of you. So it starts
with yourself.
It starts with us.
Yeah.
I have to.
And it ends with us.
And it ends with us.
I like that. Cancel culture versus taking accountability feels very much like a public execution as it used to happen back in the day, vis-a-vis now where we take people to correctional centers and you take them to prison and give them time to think about their actions and hoping by the time they're coming out or by the time they've actually thought about their mistake,
there's a purpose
their
of
deed,
amendment.
they're able to come back to society as proper people.
Yeah.
I want to know whether there's
reform after being cancelled.
There's something like curious about your language. You've used a correctional facility, not a prison.
Yeah, not a prison. Yeah.
That's so interesting. Ask your question. You want to know what that is?
I mean, what is the way forward? Like, what are we telling people? Like, yes, let's continue cancelling people because it.
No, I'd just say this.
It works.
You see, a lot of people use social media to personify. I don't know if that's a word. The things that they can't do in person. That's why social media is such a wild place. If you use social media in the exact same light or form as you deal with the people you love or the people around you, they'll not be cancelling. And that's why we like Twitter, because it's a wild place. Why? People will say the most insane kind of things, the far left, the far right, like insane kind of things. But people can't say those things in person. Yeah, people won't come and insult you. You'll post your picture, people will come and so stuff like that.
I think it's going to be very difficult to get rid of cancel culture because if what we're establishing is this is beyond our time. This started like Jesus being a first victim of cancel culture. First victim used loosely, but so many people who did the wrong thing and they're executed for it in public. That's a form of cancel culture. And when you think about the Colosseum and what's come to mind is if you have a society that doesn't, like people are not used to holding themselves accountable, then it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult. Think about the Colosseum and how guys just wanted to see more blood. Yeah. You know, more. There's an gladiator, bring them. A slave, a black guy, bring them. Just more. And I think that's the same thing that we see on Twitter.
I think it just
we feed into it.
It boils down to, he's mentioned something, because when he spoke about the Colosseum, he reminded me, it boils down to that human innate nature. I keep on loosely saying, we're the best thing the world has to offer and the worst. Those vile, distasteful parts of us that most people don't keep in, that's where cancel culture comes from. So it's been there since time immemorial.
True.
People want to see those ugly things because those are the thoughts they're having. Those are the things they want to consider. Because look at
the intrusive thoughts.
Yeah. Why do people like war so much? Thoughts, yeah. Why do people like those kind of games? Why do people like bashing people on Twitter? It's funny, why? Because you're getting your art from to. They say release, but showcase your demons. So for as long as we have fault inside of us, I don't think it'll ever be done. We'll just keep on preaching the good word.
I tell you, truly the heart is wicked.
Yeah.
Very wicked.
We can mitigate it, but I don't think we can get rid of it.
Yeah.
On a personal level, I'd want to know, is it easier for you to forgive or to be forgiven?
Oh, straight away for me, I'd say, for me it's easier to forgive because I don't hold things. And because of the fact that a lot of people know I don't hold things, for most of my life, they've put me on a higher pedestal. So the times I make mistakes, it's like it's inconceivable. So it's very hard for me to be forgiven. Like if I take most of my experiences, I'm not saying that I've not done a lot of wrong. I've caused harm, I've hurt people, I've made mistakes, I own it. But I've not found a lot of people who forgive. For one, I'm usually, how should I talk?
Hey, guys don't forgive, man. Yeah. That's true.
So for me, it's easier to forgive. Be forgiven, yeah, I've had quite the ordeal with it. Till to date. Yeah.
For me, it's the same. I find it easier to forgive. It takes some time though, because it becomes easier when I remove myself from certain situations. So if I remove myself from like say tumegombanishana, niende nje nifikirie tu vitu mbili, better mnarudi,
it's done.
Yeah. It's over.
Once you've let off.
But I think my experience the other way.
Yes, I think it's for us, we have that in similar. Once we let go of that emotion that makes you feel aggrieved, you're fine. Like it's not a big thing. We'll just discuss that A, B, C, D.
The challenge comes when there's no purpose of amendment.
Yeah.
And someone wants to keep on, like the wound has not healed and they hurt you again. So it becomes a repetitive thing. Yeah.
I ask because I can still tie it into what cancel culture looks like and also taking accountability. Accountability needs me to action. It's more personal than it is public, right? And then cancel culture involves other people. And in this case, we need them to be able to forgive us. Do you think we'll get to a point where forgiving others would be easier?
Do I think no?
Not in our lifetime.
Not in any lifetime. It's just the human nature. It's easier to cast a speck of dust in someone else's eye and forget the entire desert in your own. So yeah.
The entire desert in my own.
Yeah. It's always easier. And
whatever, let's put it this way. It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not used to doing it. When I keep on telling you, it starts with me first. Before I get what have I done to put this person in this position? Not a lot of people will think about, wait, what is my part in this? It's I felt, gone. Because people love being the victims. So, yeah. On Bado Mejam. People
love being the victim. Okay. I'm processing. I'm still stewing on that.
They do. The victim culture, especially in a society like that in States, is...
So what do you think, guys? Are you the victim? Dear viewers, are you the victim?
True.
Do you hold yourself accountable?
Every time you've been wronged, you have been the victim.
That's the thing.
Every time I have been wronged, I've been the victim.
No, then there are no victims. You've been wronged. That's the thing. Like,
yeah.
Understand what victim means. Victim is a grievous. Like, you know, like you're a victim of a crime, you're a victim of an offense. You're not a victim of wronging. Victim is such, there's a humongous aspect to being unable.
This might spiral
If I call
into
you a dog, are you a victim?
of what?
Precisely. Like, if I call you a dog and you get offended, are you a victim?
I think, to be honest, the only time I'll feel like a victim is when it affects me. Otherwise, you're just spewing nonsense. If you call me
The
a
same
dog.
thing is, you'd be a victim of abuse. Let me give you 2 reasons
Oh,
or 2 examples. You're called a dog, yeah? You only feel like a victim if it's heavily egregious and you can't do something about it. If I beat you right now,
And I beat you back.
will you be a victim?
Of you beating me?
You'll not be a victim.
Mtakuwa mmepigana, ni wewe
It'll be a
umepigwa.
fight.
Hey, you've just
You'll
lost
not
the
be a
fight.
victim of domestic abuse. You understand? So
If we are beating each other, I do. Okay, now this spirals into something else. No?
yes,
You just
fought.
lost the fight.
You lost the fight. It's like the Rihanna and Chris Brown story.
Okay.
But story for another day.
Story for another
Anyways, guys, you tell us what you think. Like, subscribe, share,
We still
comment.
haven't received feedback on whether they want a live show.
Exactly. Feedback on the live shows, guys.
Even
Feedback.
though is an answer.
Unaweza sema hapana.
Raphael is asking for a response, guys.
Yes. We are holding you accountable. Don't cancel us.
Injectile, not Raphael.
Anyways, thank you for tuning in. Till next time.
I don't even thought of that.
Yeah.
There is.
Images yangu ya class 6.
Ati ni juzi ya nini?
Class 6.
Oh. Eh?
I don't think Moses amesikia we are done, but it's fine.
Oh. We're done.
I don't think amesikia.
Tulikuwa tunashutio extra 3 seconds.